Welcome to a journey through some of history's quirkiest battles. Our first stop is the peculiar Emu War of 1932 in Australia. Imagine this, the vast outback, soldiers with machine guns and their opponents, emus, the tall, flightless birds native to the land down under. These birds, usually seen as harmless, turned into a significant problem for Australian farmers. The emus in their thousands descended on the farmlands, decimating crops and leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. In response, the government did what any reasonable government would do. They called in the military. Armed with machine guns, the soldiers set out to tackle the emu problem. However, the emus proved to be more formidable than expected. They were surprisingly agile, easily evading the soldiers' efforts and causing a great deal of frustration. Despite their best efforts, the soldiers found it challenging to outsmart the agile emus, leading to an unexpected and somewhat humorous outcome. Next, we have the curiously named War of Jenkins' Ear in the 18th century. Picture an ordinary English sailor, Robert Jenkins. His world was forever changed when, during a skirmish at sea, he claimed the Spanish had cut off his ear. Now, losing an ear is no small matter, but who could have imagined that it would lead to a full-blown war? This seemingly minor incident sparked outrage in Britain, stirring the fires of nationalism. The British public demanded justice for Jenkins, and soon enough, Britain and Spain were locked in a bitter conflict. For 9 long years, from 1739 to 1748, these two great powers battled it out, all because of one man's severed ear. This war was not merely about Jenkins's ear, it was a testament to the tensions of the time, a symbol of the larger geopolitical struggles between Britain and Spain, and so the war demonstrated how even the tiniest body parts could have major consequences on the world stage. Yes, you heard it right, we're revisiting the Emu War, this time with a twist. Fast forward to 1953, Australia's emus are back in the spotlight, once again at odds with the human population. The emus, seemingly undeterred by their previous encounter with the military, were causing chaos on farmlands, much to the dismay of the farmers. The government, in a bout of déjà vu, decided to call upon the military once again. This time, the soldiers were prepared, or so they thought. Armed with the lessons from the past, they marched onto the fields, determined to outwit the feathered adversaries. But the emus, being the crafty creatures they are, proved to be a formidable opponent yet again. The birds dodged and weaved, employing their unorthodox guerrilla tactics to evade capture. Despite the best-laid plans, humans found themselves outmaneuvered by the emus, and so the second chapter of the Emu War ended much like the first, with the emus having the last laugh. It seems emus have a knack for causing quite a stir throughout history. Now, let's turn our attention to the longest recorded war in history, the 335 Years' War between the Isles of Scilly and the Netherlands. This peculiar war was sparked in the year 1651, amidst the chaos of the English Civil War. The Isles of Scilly, a tiny archipelago off the southwestern tip of England, found themselves at odds with the Dutch, who were the naval superpower of the time. The conflict, however, took a turn for the bizarre when everyone seemed to forget about it. A peace treaty was drafted but never officially ratified, causing the war to stretch on paper for more than 3 centuries. The world moved on, empires rose and fell, and yet this little-known war silently persisted in the background. The oversight wasn't discovered until 1986, more than 300 years later. When officials finally stumbled upon the forgotten conflict, they were quick to rectify the situation. When officials finally discovered the oversight in 1986, they promptly declared peace. Lastly, we have the amusing War of the Stray Dog that erupted between Greece and Bulgaria in 1925. Picture this. A simple, ordinary dog unknowingly wanders across the border separating Greece and Bulgaria. A small act, one might think, but in this case it led to something far from ordinary. This seemingly innocuous canine adventure stirred up a hornet's nest of diplomatic tensions between the two countries. In the blink of an eye, troops were being mobilized, ready for battle over a stray dog. The situation escalated so much that it required international arbitration to resolve the dispute. The League of Nations stepped in, playing the role of the mediator, and thankfully the tensions were eased. This peculiar incident serves as a reminder that sometimes history has a way of spinning the most mundane events into extraordinary tales. A war triggered by a wandering canine, a true testament to the unpredictability of history.